Now what you in a rush for? What you trying to meet your maker, darling? Oh, you running out of time, huh? But time ain't even real. You really don't know what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Oh, you running out of time, huh? Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. It's all an illusion. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Oh, you running out of time, huh? Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. It's all an illusion. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Oh, you running out of time, huh? Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need to change. It's all an illusion. Now what you in a rush for? What you trying to meet your maker, darling? Oh, you running out of time, huh? But time ain't even real. You really don't know what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Oh, you running out of time, huh? Time ain't even real. You really need to change. Time ain't even real. You really need.
Okay, now. I apologize dearly. Yeah, I had some sound difficulties. I don't know exactly what that was or what contributed to it. So let's get back to this, okay? Mm. All right. So what we're talking about on this particular episode is this, right? What we're speaking about is how an ex, Gimp went on ahead and he explains his story of why he became that way. Let me ask us a question, honestly. How often do we do that? Now I know. Oh, he's trying to sympathize. No, I'm not. No, we're not going to play them games with me today. You can try it if you want to. You better ask about me. Now, when it comes to why certain people grow up a certain way, like, listen, we will go through and we will figure out all day in the paint. Why did the escort become the escort? And you know what we'll do? We'll dig deep into that woman's life and we'll be like, you know what? Yeah, they were, she was abused and everything else. We'll actually dig deep into how did this person get here? We know this person didn't just wake up one day and say, this is what I want to do. I want to be an escort or an prostitute. Yeah, prostitute. You can put the P in front if you like. I'm trying here. I'm trying. Okay, now. So what I'm saying is that I want to actually now, let's go on the other side of this shoe because, there is a left and a right. There is a right and a left. Let's see what happened with the shoe that went left. Let's go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. We're going to go ahead and get to it. Ensemble, please. Let's do it. So we're going to listen to someone who was an ex-Gimp who is telling his story as to how did he even get to that position, as to why he looks at women the way he does. Have we ever thought about that for a moment? Why do some men wound up doing that? How does a man get to a point where he's a gorilla? How do you get to that point in your life? You know the first thing we'll say? You must not love your mama. You know the first thing that we'll say? What would your mother think? Let's find out. So let's listen to an ex-Gimp speak about exactly what it is and how did he get there. Again, one more again for the win. I don't condone none of this. I'm a dad of one daughter. I dare one of you niggas, I'll lose my life for her. So don't get it twisted. I just want to open the doors of mind, state, and thought in which we don't usually tap in on. We don't never tap in on this side of the field. Let's talk about it and let's not be shy about it, because we all grown, right? We all adults. Okay. Just to make that real clear. Clip that if you want to. Let's get it.
So let's talk about the manipulator. Okay.
Right.
So 30 some odd years ago, or even a little bit further than that, when you were in the game, where were you at mentally that put you in a position to where you wanted to adopt, this mindset?
Well, what happened to me was, like I said, I felt abandoned by my mother. So my brother got incarcerated. My older.
Off rip. Out the gate. From his earliest stages of where he was supposed to be protected, loved, nourished, he was abandoned. Okay. Let's keep listening further. How did he get to the point where he would do something to other people's daughters that most of us would say, I dare you try one of mine like that? Let's see. What took place in his life?
Older brother, Collie, when he got incarcerated, my mother was there to visit him every day. She would bring him fruits and food, and we had to go there, and we had to sit in the visiting room, and she just kept doing this. And I felt like she wasn't paying me no attention. So I gained a disdain for my mother. You know what I'm saying? I was like, she tripping.
Wow.
And then, when I was like maybe 3 years old, I was molested by a woman that my mama had babysitting me. It was a big old dark-skinned sister, I never forget. So she molested me. That made me have a disdain for women, right? So I developed this, I was like,
now let's be honest. Did you hear what he just said happened to him? Now, mind you, we just think somebody was just born, and we would think, yo nothing ass, bum ass daddy had to been the one to teach you how to be so not only disrespectful to yourself, but those around you. It had to be something that happened, right? During the time in which he was going through what he was going through, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll hear more as we go through the story. How much of his cries were adhered to? How many of his fellow aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever, when he went and tried to talk to them in secret, hey, this is what's going on with me, did somebody actually really just sit down with that young boy who is now a man? See, I don't always like to look at things from like, what is the ending result? I don't like to look at, oh, okay, this is where you are. I don't care if it's a great path in life or whether it is a horrible path in life. I want to know, how did you get here? Like, what happened along the way? What was that light switch that went off one night or one day and it just clicked? And now this is who you are. What happened to you? We understand that. So let's overstand it. Let's overstand it. Me, you, every last one of us, once upon a time, we was this right here. We was this right here. Innocent, don't know nothing about nothing. And you know what makes or breaks our innocence? Who guides us? Who teaches us? Who is our guardians? See, listen, I want you to pay very close attention to what it says on the paperwork with school when it comes to children and stuff. It may say parent, but it says parent/guardian. Now, generally, if we was to take that to a biblical sense, who are the guardians? The angels. You know, when you get a certain mark of destitute in your life, you are to uphold that and live to it. So when you get that mark, that badge of guardian, you are not to mislead, misguide. You are not to neglect, negate, torture, defile, desensitize. This right here. You don't mess with this right. The innocence of youth. Once upon a time, that right there, that was me. That was me. I ain't know nothing. I know nothing about what was going to come my way. And you know, a lot of things that didn't come my way is because of those who were around me to protect me. That's why I go so hard when it comes to this. That's why I hate the desensitization of our communities and our lives at this moment. So let's keep on going. Let's go ahead and see what we got. Let's listen further into why, how. See, that's the thing. One more again for the win, people. We're not just going to keep looking at where they are right now. Let's take time and let's go back into how did this person even get there in the first place? And I dare you try to say I'm taking up for what he does. Play with me.
It's like I went to the doctor and had a triple bypass. I had no sympathy in my heart. So I was going, everything I was doing with no passion. You know what I'm saying? Me, I was the word they use, I guess you say hurt or mentally deranged. And, you know, so when I looked at
everything going on while he was doing everything he was not in his right state of mind. Does that mean it was right? No. But watch this. Does that mean that at that time he was going through what he was going through? Did he have the sufficient resources, counseling, therapy, community support, family support? We negate these things. We be swearing up and down. You're supposed to do all this shit by yourself. We swear. Now it's just not just you. If you can't do it all by yourself, then you not a man. Last time I checked, every king has an army. Last I checked, I ain't never seen a king go into battle by himself. No other horsemen with him. Never seen it. You show me where that's at. You know what that's a direct indication of? Even though that man, that king is the leader, that battle would not be won if it wasn't for the support that surrounds that king. And when that king does not have that support, that's the very king that's beheaded.
That women, I didn't look at women the way the average man look at women. So when I discovered a game called pimping, that was an easy game for me to get in because I had no sympathy, you know, for nothing. You know, I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, I care about nobody because I felt that nobody cared about me. And my mama never addressed that issue of me being molested until I was about 54 years old. I just told her.
Wow.
And what made me...
Are you serious right now, bro?
What triggered me, right, is I was talking to one of my lady friends, and we were just having a conversation, and I remembered it vividly. And so I called my mama, and I said, Mom, I know why I used to bump my head when I was little. I said, that lady that you know, used to have a babysitter, she used to always molest me.
So again, I'm going to go back on this story I spoke about. This is a true story about myself, and I'm going to be very brief with it. I didn't realize I had abandonment issues. You want to know why? My parents never abandoned me, but they used to drop me off to a babysitter named Erica. I'm going to give y'all the full names. No, I mean, it is what it is. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about it, okay? Story time. Y'all ready? Story time. Grab your popcorn, okay? So, I was around this age. Let me see. Hold on. Because now watch this. God dang it, Jim. I took it out. So there's a picture I had with me and my sister. And at that time, me and my sister in Adelphi, PG. I used to live in Adelphi. So I was one of those kids. I used to walk to school. And I'd be like in the first, second grade. And we know nowadays that's almost like, you know, depending on where you at. So I remember those days. And when I would come home from school, both my parents still be at work. So while they were at work, let me make sure this music ain't. I want to make sure. Like, for real, I really want y'all to hear me. There we go. So like when I get out of school, like 2:30. See, there we go. Okay. See, they messing with my live. I don't want none of this story to be missed. So let me make sure. All right, back. So I would come home and from school, I walk smooth down Meserat Road. Come right on up. There you go, Jefferson Square. I turn into my apartment complex on the right side of the street, that is. And I'll go over to Erica's apartment every day after school. My sister was already over there, my baby sister. And I remember like her daughter used to like mess with my sister because my sister was in one of those swing seats, you know? She was in one of those like swing seats and stuff. And she was a baby. So I'm like 7, you know, Shelly, she like 1, you know what I mean? At max, I mean, maybe about 11 months, you know? And all of us always had a full head of hair. We always had a full head of hair. So her daughter used to come snag at my sister's hair. My sister would be in the swing crying. And I remember one day, I pushed her daughter up off of my daughter. It was my sister. I didn't mean to hurt the little girl. I'm like 5 or 7 years old. I ain't mean to hurt her. I just saw my baby sister having her hair being snatched because it's full. And when I pushed her, the babysitter, Erica, her mom, ran over and man grabbed me by my arm, snagged me up, right? She snagged me up. Then she went on ahead and then she put me on the balcony. I was blown about that. Now, mind you, this is like school year time, so it's like winter, fall. And I remember being out there from like now, mind you, she lived in a high rise, so like we're like high up. And I remember being on that balcony for like 4-5 hours. You understand? I remember that. And I remember I used to watch her through the glass of the balcony because she'll lock me out there. And I remember looking through the glass of the balcony, and you know what she'd do? She'd take my food that my parents gave me and my sister. So my parents would make us like great homemade meals, like tailored to my sister, tailored to me. And she'll eat my food and feed her daughter her food. I went through that growing up. I went through that. And I remember like banging on that glass and being like, that's my food. And I'm cold. I'm freezing because we high up. And I'm locked out on the balcony. And I just hear my sister swinging back and forth crying. So they had a buzzer. It's an apartment building. It's a high-rise apartment building. And I remember in that high-rise apartment building, you had to call to get buzzed in. You had to call. And I remember every time my mom would call and she downstairs, like that was the one thing I used to get like ready for, was like to hear that buzz, because you could hear like in her apartment. And then when she would do that, my mother would come up. So my mom had to like go through the lobby, go up the elevator, walk down the hall, actually get to the door. So it was plenty of time for her to just go ahead, open that door, bring me back in. Man, I was so quiet. Now I know people hear me talk about how, if you notice when I speak, I said, you know, my people started taking me to therapy when I was like 12. And that was because primarily I ain't started talking. Like I just shut down. I just stopped talking. Yeah. I mean, you talking about lively, just like humorous, ready to live life kid. And I stopped talking completely. Like I just shut down. I ain't socializing. I'm not doing nothing. We got family events. I ain't talking to none of my cousins like that. I'm hanging out with them, but I just don't talk. And this was all because of that trauma that I went through. And it's so crazy because it was the same thing. I went through a babysitter that I had no clue that I had a complex that was, I had a complex that was built up. Is this something that like ruins how I socialize with people nowadays? I don't know. If you have associated with me before, you tell me, do I seem like I'm off when I talk to you? You let me know. That's your decision. But I did go through that. To this very day, I am so fearful of heights. You want to know why? Because she lived on the 18th story and she used to lock me on a balcony. And the only thing that I could look at was down. So to this day, I'm now trying to figure, why do I like shake and I freeze up if I get high enough on the balcony? Maybe that has something to do with how I was treated as a child when I was this age, right? 5 years old, 6 years old or so. I went through that shit. And you know something that I know? Even though my parents got me some help, I never really had too many people come around me and parade around me. Wasn't no news cameras. Didn't know nothing came my way. Like, I didn't even realize it at the time. But I was like, I had to eat that. I had to eat that shit. I didn't even realize it at that moment. I was going through what I was going through. But let's get back to the video. Yeah, now I want to share a few things on this right here because, again, I'm just simply saying that I do recognize how our minds can get distorted. Like we could real deal get to thinking the wrong things and how life is supposed to be constructed and organized and developed. And if your development is screwed up, that can have a large part to play in how you function in society when you get older, because your development was disturbed. One more again for the win. A man who is balanced is a man who was raised in knows. You do each of these three things to keep you and make you balanced. Learn from the one who has no future, protect the one who carries man, and guide the one who has no past. Let's just go right to guide the one who has no past. Children always talk about, when I get older, I'm gonna be this and that. Why? Because they're in their past. Don't disturb it. Don't disrupt their dreams. But I know we so desensitized because we see, niggas die every day, right? Niggas die every day.
And that caused me to be in special ed. It caused me to be incarcerated. I got incarcerated over 10 years in prison.
Now, I'm just asking him having to go through the special ed education aspect, which I don't know. I mean, I don't see that as a bad thing. I just see that as if that's what you need to make it through the educational process, then do what you need to do. Parents, and put your children there if they need to be there. Like, let's stop making that a stigma. Let's stop all of that. All right. Education is education if it is sufficient for what it is that develops the mind of our children. Let's go.
Because I didn't know what was going on mentally in my head. So when I came out and I got into the game,
most people have no idea how to plan a date that builds connection. Clips for 10% off.
I didn't have no feelings. If somebody, I've been shot 5 times. So if somebody get at me, I'm ready to shoot them too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was just desensitized to life. And then, I had my first daughter.
Ain't that something? So we're hearing from a pimp. So this is a whole pimp, Gimp, that is, who has a daughter. He has a daughter himself. He himself has somebody who, if she gets older, somebody can take advantage of her the exact same way. Again, let's break down the science of this. Let's stop just going to the end result of everything. Let's take time and figure our brothers and sisters out. Let's take time and figure out what be going on inside your head when you think and do what you do. I'll take the slow road. I will take the slow road to go ahead and dissect this. I'll take the time to do it because I have time to do it and I want to do it. Let's go. And I hope you do too.
Kiki, around 31 years old. And that's when my life changed. You know what I'm saying? And I said, I was 29 when I had Kiki. And I said, I got this little precious thing in front of me I got to take care of. You know what I mean? And I started being more sympathetic. And then, I had one son, I had 2 sons. And I really just adored my boys. You know what I mean? So I all the hatred that I had in me, I got rid of it by loving on my children. My son, he would say, Dad, I need some Robin jeans. I said, how much is they? 500. Okay. Dad, come and get me. I'll be doing some other stuff. All right, I'll be there. And so I developed love by having something to love. But before that, I had no love. That's why I said in my book, love is like.
So he grew up, he was abused and mistreated by his very own mother. And through that mistreatment, that is what caused him to develop a complex in which he had no love. He developed a no love tolerance complex. Now, I ask you, is that his fault overall? I'm not talking about his decision at the end of it. Is that his fault overall as to how his mentality is, not his actions? Because he is responsible for his actions. He's responsible for that. It's no getting around that. Because the fact is, you got people who've been through things just as worse, if not worse, and they become advocates. And I speak on behalf of those people, but I also want to make sure that I dissect and figure out what takes place on this side of the fence. That junkyard that nobody wants to walk through. I'll take a trip through there. So let's see what goes on.
Like a 4-letter word, So F that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to cuss on here, but that was saying. And they said, why ain't no love in the game? Because there's not no love in the game. And the women that I talked to, 90% of them went through the same thing. I didn't know what I was going through because I didn't know until it didn't click in my head till I was 54. But they was being raped too.
Wow.
And
That's
yeah.
incredible that you say that, because a lot of times when you think about the manipulator, you only think about the victim and kind of what their story is.
That nigga, that boy right there, he's the manipulator.
Exactly. When we think about the manipulator, we only think about what it is in that one dimensional aspect. I just want to see, what I want us to do is I want us to be more educated on why does our community, or lack of community, as some would say, why does whatever that takes place in it, why does it happen? I just want to know, like, why do these things take place? And I'll never know why these things take place if I never take time to dive into the deeper depths and the blackness of the waters of what takes place in that underworld of our society. It's the only way to know. You're not going to know no other way. And you know something? We'll just find ourselves continuously, year after year, complaining, being and moaning about the same thing. I don't want to keep complaining about the same thing. I want to dive deeper into the roots of why we are the way we are. Why are you the way you are? Why am I the way that I am? Why is he the way he is? Why is she the way she is? Why are they the way they are? And why are we the way that we are? It's an undertow. It's something that takes place that causes us to have the thoughts, the visions, and the views here on life in which we have. The stuff doesn't just come fly by night, and it's not by chance. It just doesn't happen that way. It's something that had to have developed in your life as to why you think the way you think. All of your outlooks on life has everything to do with your experiences on life. And everything that has been introduced into your mind, let's not negate that. Let's not ignore that. Let's take time to really think about these parts of life. I sit right here and I do this till the sun come up, and y'all know how diligent I work on this. I'll just keep going at it, because I'm gonna make sure that message get out there. See, this isn't, for the record, about monetization. I don't know why I couldn't say that word. It's not about getting monetized. It's about being a voice for what it is that you know is to be. You see things a certain way. I don't feel right when I know something's not right, and I just sit there on my hands. That's why my hands are right here. See them right here? Because I'm not sitting on them. I'm using these hands to put work in every day. And I know I won't change the world, but you know what? I can change my circumstance, and hopefully my circumstance being changed will influence you, whoever you may be. Let's keep going.
He manipulate me. Guess how he manipulate me? I could be holding his brother, and he don't even know it because he was a baby. And I be holding his brother, because his brother, they 2 years apart. I be like, hey, little Kenny. And he'd cry like crazy. I put his brother down, pick him up. He smiled at me. So we start manipulating at a very young age. Children are very manipulative.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they always crying, because that's the only thing they can do. When the child wants you to change their diaper, they cry. When the child is hungry, they cry. When the child wants some attention, have you ever, I don't know if you have any kids, have you ever had somebody like a cousin or auntie come over and your child is right there, and you could just merely just touch that other child and your child will go crazy and start crying and pulling on you? That's manipulation. It's an early trait that we have to learn.
I got a hard time with that one. I don't see that as manipulation. I see that as early stages of developing attention. I wouldn't take that at not that. Nah, I don't believe that's the proper example to give. And I'm not just going to sit here and let that slide by and be said. I actually have to speak up on that part right there. So no, I'm just saying personally, I disagree. Let's go.
And it's a survival tactic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a survival
Right.
tactic. You know, your mind manipulates you all the time. Tell you want things that you really don't want. You know, I mean, people practice it, don't even know they're practicing it. You know, it's just some people have special interests that they practice in. You know, me, you know, it got to the point where I didn't even have to manipulate. I was getting chose with my mouth closed. I mean, women were just diving on me, giving me money, you know. But I found out we had a commonality.
Right.
And the commonality, we are all little boys and little girls trapped in men and women bodies. We all been traumatized.
No, there is a section and a group of us who have all trauma bonded together through arrested development. Let's not get that mixed up. Let's keep going. We listen very close, or at least yeah, that's right. I listen very closely.
We all been through something. But everybody on this podcast, they've been through something. But some people say their boo-boo don't stink. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guarantee you, if you was to go in the closet of any one of your guests, you find everything from molestation to homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to manipulation. And a lot of people, they try to act like, you know, I'm the good guy. You know, yeah, point the finger at him. But when they point the finger at him, guess what? They got 3 pointing back at themselves. Until we become truthful with ourselves and we realize that we all been through something. And I guarantee y'all don't want to admit it on this show, but I guarantee you it's something that happened in your life that traumatized you.
You know, the thing about it is, I think most people could agree on an average basic level, we all have had something that made a certain light switch go off in our head. What I would say is this, though. I do recognize also that the trauma that we've all been through, not everybody responds to that trauma the exact same way. Not everybody responds accordingly. Why? Because depending on what the trauma is and depending on how much comfort comes behind that. For example, me, although I went through my circumstance with the babysitter, guess what? At home, because the babysitter, that was just a few hours after school. At home, there was so much love given. Do you know what that allowed to happen? Now, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it allowed it to die dormant because I was given so much love that I wasn't able to really recognize how bad what was going on around me at that moment was. I was not able to see it. I just couldn't see it at that time. But you know, when I wound up seeing it when I got older and I recognized that it was affecting relationships in my life. Hindsight being 2020, everything I went through. It's amazing, man. Respect to you. Let's go ahead and keep on listening.
No,
absolutely.
that's a fact.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So all of us are going through something. If you live, there's only one university that no one never graduate from, and that's the University of Life. Life will show you something, brother.
Yeah.
Hold up. Let's go.
Telling you, man, this is not no cap. This ain't no articulation or nothing. This is facts. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened to me. That's why I was such a great pimp, because I had absolutely no sympathy. And the people that I was dealing with had absolutely no sympathy, because people say, yeah, man, these women, you know, they doing this by force. No, that's not true. If you ain't been...
No, I don't believe that. It's a conditioning that takes place when one goes through that. It's a conditioning. Let's keep going.
the game you on. So, women go past 2 ambulance, 5 police cars, and they still go back home to the dude. And they act down one of them. They even stop at the hospital and say, save me from the game. Like I said, 90% of the women that's in the game now, they do not have a P. You know, people look at the exploitation films of the 1960s or the Dolomite and stuff. They think that's pimping. No. Do people know that they got legal whorehouses in Vegas right now?
Mm-hmm.
Do people know that these strip clubs are?
Now, all the way from this side to this side, like East, West Coast, whatever, we all know that the fact is that these circumstances are around nationwide. I don't know. When it comes to the brothel part, you know, there are people who say that we can cut down essays and grapes if we just make prostitution legal. Just legalize prostitution, and we can go ahead and, you know, cut down on a lot of these crimes. All right, we cut down on the crimes. Now, from there, will that bring down the numbers of STDs or STIs, however you want to word it? Will that bring down the number of unwanted children? Will that bring down the number of broken hearts? Will that bring down the number of dysfunctional relationships? See, the thing is that, you know, a lot of things in life go a lot deeper than just, you know, what would the law say? You know, first and foremost, before a law ever has to hit my door, I always ask myself, what do I say? And that's where I'm at with it. Let's keep on going.
Are legal whorehouses owned by rich white men? And you walk past them every day, and you probably live next door, and you never look at them in a disrespectful manner. But the black man has been attacked on multiple fronts. You know what I mean? You know, we can't be Muslim, we can't be Christian, we can't be pimps, we can't be drug dealers, we can't be nothing. We can't even get a good.
Now, I don't like the examples that he gave. Again, you know, I play these videos to also show how one-dimensional we can be in our headspace and thought process. Out of all things in life that you can be, black man, out of all things in life that you can be, my sister, that's the only examples you can think of? That's the furthest that your mind extends, really? That's where I really, you know, so again, when I really start to dig deeper into these things, I really, you know, do I really sit here and say to myself, okay, all right, you're the problem, or was your upbringing the problem that made you the problem subsequently? You know, as one who was loved and taken care of, I never realized how many of us just wasn't nourished, wasn't loved, wasn't given proper meals. You know, I never realized how widespread it was until I got older. I didn't realize how widespread it is until I became a father myself. Once I became a dad, man, it's like, I don't know, it's just like, again, a light switch went off and it just all clicked. I didn't have to be taught, prepared for it or nothing. One day I held her. She couldn't even open her eyes. She had crust in her belly button, and something clicked and went off. And ever since that day, and I laid her gently back down in her crib, and I watched her slowly grow to this very day right now and beyond. You know, my whole headspace is just not the same. And you know, when they say, like, you know, can kids change a person or whatever, I'm gonna be honest with you, it should. I don't get how it doesn't. I don't get how a woman feels a kick in her stomach and she still chooses to maybe drink and smoke. I don't get how a father can look into the eyes of their child for the first time and then just walk away. You know, these are the parts of life that I don't get. I don't get how two parents can lock their child in a closet. I don't get any of these things. You know, I really don't want to, but I want to understand well enough, at least to where maybe I can figure out something that can be done and where these things don't have to keep happening. Because again, I'm one of those where, you know, honestly, I'm one of those where it doesn't have to hit my doorstep before I see it's a problem. Like, why do we do that? Why do we keep having to wait for something to be right there? Like, it has to be your favorite cousin. It has to be your favorite niece. It has to be your daughter. It has to be your son. It has to be your mother. It has to be your brother. It has to be your sister. It has to be your neighbor before you actually feel something. I don't get it. You know, that's, you know, because no, it's one thing to be active, it's one thing to be proactive. It's a difference there. Big difference. And they messing with my live again, making sure my message don't get out. It's all good though. But like, it's a difference in these things, man. So let me see something here. Hold on. Oh, because I honestly do believe that all of these things that's taking place can be eradicated if we take time to think about why did the person who wants to sell their daughter, my daughter, your daughter, their sons, whoever, what makes you think that way? The person that think that grape is okay, what makes you think that way? The person that thinks that being a serial driller is okay, what makes you think that way? What makes you think? What took place in your life? What was that light switch that went off that made you click and become that monster, that animal, that demon that you are now? Is it really just spiritually induced? Is it medically induced? Is it environmentally induced? What is it? And that's where I am with this. And I know it's messy. Oh man, if ever I was to be somebody who had something messy going on in my life, it would be me trying to figure out the depths of the black oceans of what it is that we all swim through. You know, we're like that place of the ocean where sunlight doesn't hit, and all of a sudden creatures and all kinds of life forms, they just take a form and a shape in which we don't normally see where the sunlight hits in the ocean. It's not your typical dolphins and orcas and fish and octopus. There's all kinds of strange things down there. And you know what's wild? To this very day, we still haven't discovered everything in the depths and the blacks of the ocean. Now, I want you to take that analogy I'm using and put that into the minds, into those who go through the deepest and the darkest of experiences in our communities. Think about that. All right. Is it right? No. Is how that person was raised right? No. So, which is worse, the bullet or the gun? Now, that's really for you to think about right now. Which is worse, the bullet or the gun? I digress. My mic is muted. I thank you all for tuning in. Respect.
Now what you in a rush for? What you trying to meet your maker, darling? Oh, you running out of time, huh? But time ain't even real. You really don't know what you in a rush for? What you trying to meet your maker, darling? Now what you in a rush for? What you trying to meet your maker, darling? Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Oh, you running out of time, huh? But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. It's all an illusion. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Oh, you running out of time, huh? But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. It's all an illusion. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Oh, you running out of time, huh? But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. But time ain't even real. You really need to change. It's all an illusion. Now what you in a rush for? What you trying to meet your maker, darling? Oh, you running out of time, huh? But time ain't even real. You really don't know what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Now what you in a rush for? Trying to meet your maker, darling. Oh, you running out of time, huh? But time ain't even